Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live at Jazz at Catano here in New York City. Saxophonist Brandon Wright tonight is performing selections off his second Posi-Tone's record release, Journeyman. And tonight, he's going to be playing with his unit. Over the last decade, he has made a niche in music, both in jazz, funk, as well as rock, playing with the likes of Chuck Mangione, Doc Severinsen, Fred Wesley, to Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. Tonight we're going to sit down and talk about how he's developed as a dynamic leader, as well as talk about his growing as a tenor saxophonist and how he developed his tone as well as his style. Congratulations on your second Posi-Tone release, Journeyman. And this record is a little different than your debut in that you now are, there's 6 original compositions by you, and then there's also standards, and you are really kind of going back to the balladeer type of style in those ballads, in those standards.
Well, playing ballads is something that I really enjoy doing now as I've gotten a little bit older and had an appreciation for some of the great old tenor players like Ben Webster and Dexter Gordon, who really know how to play ballads beautifully. I thought that it was time for me to, well, not even just time, but just continue to explore ballad playing and to get deeper into the music and be as expressive as possible.
And also, writing the compositions for your group. What is it about leading your own group now, because you're relatively new to this. You've been playing the music for a while. You've been in the idiom for a while. But what is it about this unit and this music that makes it work?
Well, first of all, having players like Boris Kozlov, Dave Kokoski, and Donald Edwards, you know, that's just incredible to have such strong, interactive, sensitive players that you could put any piece of music in front of them, and whatever I've conceived, once the four of us are playing together, you know, the sum is greater than any individual part, you know, and I love playing with them. They're so exciting to play with when we're working as a unit together. It just creates this forward motion and energy that's extremely inspiring, and something that I hope to continue to do more, book the band throughout the country and go from there. But, you know, one step at a time. Like you said, I'm still pretty new at this.
You are new at this, and your sound and your tone and your voice is, like you said, it's of the old school, and you're a pretty tall guy. Where you get that voice from?
All I can say is that I have, you know, the utmost respect for this music and the tradition, and I was lucky to have great teachers that hit me to all the great players. And I spent a lot of time absorbing their sound, their energy, their spirit, and just wanted to emulate that, or at least start just by imitation, by really copying their sound as much as possible until I forged my own sound in my head and then brought out more of my own personal voice in playing the tenor saxophone.
Explain the concept of Journeyman.
Journeyman is really the story of my last 6.5 years of being in New York City. I left the University of Miami in January of 2006, and in order to survive and really be able to make a living full-time as a musician, I had to be very versatile and adapt to a lot of different bands, which besides playing jazz included funk, R&B, rock, and to just be a chameleon. And in doing so, I'm influenced by all kinds of music, and I think all of that music has now influenced the way I play and write. So this year I just turned 30, and after playing with these three guys about a year ago at Kitano, it was clear to me that it was time to make another record, and I had enough material ready to go, and I was so proud of the way the four of us played together that it was time to get in the studio and document this music.
I understand that you came into jazz by watching one of my favorite cartoons, which happens to be The Simpsons. And it was Lisa Simpson that had an integral part in you getting into playing the saxophone.
Well, when The Simpsons first came out, I was in the second grade, and there was a certain episode in the first season where she meets the jazz musician Bleeding Gums Murphy. And they sing a song, they play this blues together, and they're trading verses. And in one of Lisa's verses, in the lyrics, she says that she's in grade 2. And I was in the second grade. I related to that. It became like she could have been my peer. And I thought it was so cool that the second grader was playing the saxophone. And I knew then that when band was going to come around in 5th grade, I was going to choose that instrument.
But it was also, too, you weren't really into jazz. How did you really get into the music? How did you start saying, okay, I'm going to start listening to Train, I'm going to start listening to Ben Webster, I'm going to start listening to the Masters?
It was almost, in a strange way, by accident. I was a sophomore in high school, and Rufus Reid had just started a program at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center called Jazz for Teens. And I just applied for it. My band director gave me a brochure. I applied for it just because I thought it would look good on my college applications. It wasn't even because I was really that excited about the music. I was just looking to build up my extracurriculars. And I mean, I liked playing the saxophone. It was something I did. But it wasn't until I got accepted into that program, which I have no idea how I did, because I knew about 5 scales, and my knowledge of jazz was basically out of volume 54 of Jamie Aebersold's play-along book, when I thought that B-flat blues was a composition composed by Jamie Aebersold. So that program, combined with hearing one of my first jazz teachers, Walt Weiskopf, play at Smalls with his sextet on the same night that I went to my very first class of Jazz for Teens, just changed it for me. It was like right then and there I became fascinated by the music. I didn't really know what I was hearing, but the idea that you could improvise and seeing them do it on such a high level, all I wanted to do was figure it out. And I've dedicated my life for the last 14 years doing that. It's still going. It's a lifelong pursuit.
You know, and you've done quite well. I mean, you have backed the legendary Fred Wesley, who I've interviewed on the Pace Report, Chuck Mangione, the late Doc Severinsen. We talked about the Mingus Big Band. And I think another one of your highlights is Bruce Springsteen and Max Weinberg.
Well, the opportunity to play with Bruce Springsteen came through being a member of the Max Weinberg Big Band. And we did a fundraiser at the Beacon Theater. We did it twice for the Bob Woodruff Foundation. It was this fundraiser called Stand Up for Heroes. And Bruce Springsteen was always a special guest. He would just do acoustic guitar and sing. But once Max's big band became the house band for the entire event, Max was able to convince Bruce to perform with us. And the first time we did it, especially when I found out the night before our performance that I was going to be taking Clarence Clemens' solo on Kitty's Back, and then having the opportunity to perform with Bruce Springsteen, even though it was just one night, you know, it's not like I was part of the E Street Band, but even to just perform with him was a electrifying moment for me, something I'll never forget, and really grateful for that opportunity. Would love to do it again.
What does jazz music mean to you?
Jazz music, what does it mean to me? I mean, first of all, I think just freedom and the ability to express yourself honestly, and I just think the energy that the music creates and how you can collaborate with lots of different people from all over the world and still speak the same language and communicate feelings and emotions with people that don't even speak the same language of you, but we're all communicating through this idiom of jazz. To me, it's, besides freedom, I just think it's just this like wonderful American art form that I'm proud to be a part of, and I take it seriously, but it's also a lot of fun. Creates a lot of joy for me, and I hope that within playing that music that I can deliver that joy and feelings of happiness, and whether I'm swinging or playing modern music or a ballad, that I'm touching people by just playing from the heart and really being able to communicate on that deep of a level without using words, and it's just all through the instrument.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at Jazz at Catano here in New York City. I'd like to personally thank Mr. Brandon Wright for his time, as well as the staff and management here at Jazz at Catano. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Until next time, peace.